Okay, we'll begin with the blessing that we say before we learn Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvosav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah. Okay. Um, so the month that is about to begin, the Jewish month of Hanukkah. Does anybody know what the name of the month is that Hanukkah falls out?
I'm gonna guess Kislev.
Ah, very good. The month of Kislev.
Oh, geez.
And the month of Kislev is actually on the Hasidic calendar a very important month. A lot of Hasidic holidays and festivals. And in our family, it's going to be also a very special month, God willing. Good health and good time with God's blessings. We're expecting a baby sometime around Hanukkah.
You know, if it's boy or girl.
We'll find out.
Yeah, the answer is, yeah, I do know.
Rabbi,
It's
when
gonna
is
be a boy.
Hanukkah?
Yes. Sorry?
When is Hanukkah this year? I didn't look at the calendar.
When is Hanukkah this year? Is on December 14th. Sunday night is the
Okay.
first night of Hanukkah. And I'm about to send out an email in the next few days. There's going to be a beautiful concert that's being put together by the big show over here, as well as the city of Lauderhill in the Lauderhill Performing Arts Center. It'll be a beautiful Hanukkah celebration and a concert. They're actually, I think, running the concert twice. One earlier for people with kids, and then one later for people who want.
Who's putting it on?
Who's going to be singing? Have you heard of Alex Clare? Let me see who's going to be there. Alex Clare, Yishai Lapidot, Duvbear Miller, Levi Miller, and Izzy DJ.
That vacant lot on the corner next to the big synagogue.
Mm-hmm.
Who owns it? Is that a park?
It's
or-
owned by the synagogue, and right behind it there's a park. I was someone who had big plans to open a kosher assisted living facility there, which never happened. But yeah, it's owned by the synagogue. So, zum gesund. God bless you. Yeah. So Kislev is a very happening month, but the month of Kislev was not always like that, because you see, of course, the story of Hanukkah happened in the Second Temple era, which is many years after the Jews were celebrating the month of Kislev. So up until Hanukkah happened, there was nothing special in the calendar in that month. So let's look what did happen in the beginning of the month. But before then, let's just hook ourselves in a little bit. What do you think is better, to get a new car or to go on a family trip? Assuming that your old car works.
Depending upon whether or not you get along with your family.
Okay. Right. Say the car still works and your family still works.
Family, I guess.
Trip with family. Why?
Establish a memory that'll last for years. When you're
Very
older.
good. Yeah, if you buy stuff, the stuff comes and sits around, takes up space, and eventually gets thrown out. But the memories, the bonding, the connection is something that lasts for longer.
Depends. Also, that's fine if you figure you'll be financially secure enough to replace the car when the time comes.
Right.
If there's any doubt, then maybe the car
Right.
comes first.
Yeah, because you need to be able to move around.
Right.
Correct. So the question, so today in today's lesson, we're going to be learning about how to transform the routine stuff of day-to-day Jewish life and make it into a little bit more memorable and exciting. Source number one. Chaim, would you like to read for us? Source number one. This is from the Yalkut Shimoni, the Medrash.
Rabbi Kanina said on the 25th of Kislev, the Mishkan was completed and it remained folded up until the 1st of Nisan. That's the verse states. On the 1st of the month, you shall erect the Mishkan. The Jews complained to Moses about the fact that it had not been erected immediately, saying, has something happened to it? That God had wanted to combine this celebration with the month of Isaac's birth, regarding which the verse says, knead and make cakes. And the angel promised, I will surely return to you at this time next year. Now Kislev, the month in which the work of the Mishkan was completed, lost out. God said, I will repay you. How did God repay Kislev? With the Hanukkah of the Kashmanian.
Thank you. So here's what happens. Moses goes up in the mountain on the 6th day of Kislev. 40 days later, on the 17th day of Tammuz, the Jewish people served the golden calf. Moses goes back on the mountain, and he stays there twice 40 days. He ends up staying there until Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur, God says, okay, I've forgiven the Jews. The next day after Yom Kippur, God tells Moses to tell the Jewish people that the way that he is going to forgive them for their idolatry is by them building the Mishkan, the tabernacle. I'm just going to move this out of the way.
By tabernacle, you mean what?
What's the Mishkan in the desert? The temporary movable structure which preceded the temple. So it was like a collapsible temple that they built in the desert. So they sent out a call for collection. Everybody came and they brought all the things that needed to be brought, and they did all the things that needed to be done, and they made all the things that needed to be made. And within 2.5 months, on the 25th of Kislev, everything was ready. The ark, the menorah, the walls, the curtains, everything was done. All the utensils and vessels that needed to be made. Oh, very good question. Very good question. There was a 7-branched menorah in the temple. And the reason why we light a menorah on Hanukkah is because they found oil for the menorah in the temple. So they it was the 25th of Kislev, and they came to Moses and they said, we did it fast. And Moses says, very good, and he took it and he locked it up in storage. And the Jewish people said, excuse me, what's going on over here? This is our salvation. This is our repentance. This is God telling us that we're not going to get wiped out. How can you just take this and lock it up? And God says Moses says to the Jewish people, God wants this to be established and erected, set up and arranged on the first day of the month of Nisan. Nisan is the month where Passover comes in. Nisan is the month in which Isaac was born. And oh, 1 second, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Susie, you hear me, yeah?
Yes, I can hear you, Rabbi.
Wonderful. Now I have to figure out. Where is the? Oh, I apologize, people. Okay. So I apologize about that. And so now the month of Kislev is all angry. The Jewish people finished. They had the temple ready to go on the 25th day of Kislev. God, how could this be that you're leaving me out over here? I was about to get all the limelight. And now, instead, the tabernacle is going to be built in the month of Nisan. And so God said, okay, don't worry, I'll give you something special too. And that is going to be Hanukkah. So in the following talk of the Rebbe is going to discuss more the connection between the dedication of the Mishkan and the month of Nisan. Why is it important for the Mishkan to be dedicated in the month of Nisan? Page number 1, the Rebbe. From the standpoint of human effort, the Mishkan could have been erected on the 25th day of Kislev, the day when its construction was completed. However, human effort must also awaken a response from above. Spirit draws spirit and brings forth spirit. That response was only effected on the 1st of Nisan when the Mishkan was actually set up. So technically, they could have assembled the Mishkan in Kislev. And even on a spiritual level, the Jewish people were ready. However, when we work, our work is not complete until we have a response, reciprocation from God, and that only happened in Nisan. For this, God repaid Kislev with the dedication of the Hasmoneans, the Hashmonaim. This occurred many years later during the Second Temple period, when the Greeks were defeated. And as we say in our prayers, your children came into the inner sanctuary of your house and purified your temple on the 25th of Kislev. There is an allusion to this date in the word Chanukah as well, as this word can be broken down into Chanu, Chafhei. They rested on the 25th.
I thought first temple was destroyed by the Greeks and the second temple by the Romans.
Yes,
Is that correct?
that is correct, and I made a mistake. I'm pretty sure I made it. The first temple was destroyed not by the Greeks. The first temple was destroyed by the Babylonians. The second temple was destroyed by the Romans. The Greeks ruled.
The Greek Empire came after Babylon.
Right. Alexander the Great conquered. Who was it? Darius? Who was the Babylonian Empire at the time? It wasn't Cyrus. Cyrus was before the Purim. Right. So the Persians, so the Babylonians destroyed the temple and brought the this him trying to get through. The Babylonians destroyed the temple and brought the Jewish people back to Babylonia. The Persians then took over from the Babylonians. So Nebuchadnezzar was the one who was the king in charge of the Babylonian Empire when they destroyed the temple. Then the Persians took over, and then from the Persians were defeated by Alexander the Great, right?
Sounds reasonable. I'm not sure, but Sounds right.
Pretty sure. And it must have been Alexander the Great because the Kuthian? There were people who got upset. Remember we were talking about the Samaritans yesterday? So the Samaritans were upset that the Jewish people didn't accept them as Jews. And so they came with messages. This is long, interesting history of Hanukkah. I wonder if we can get Yaakov Boyd to come and give us or maybe Shalom Lane, a history. That big class that we had here with all the Black Hatters on Hanukkah last year.
Yeah.
I think he was talking about this and how did it end up happening. Bottom line is that the Jewish tax collector, the Samaritans were the one. I think it was the Samaritans who were in charge of collecting the taxes or something like that. Like one of the guys who was collecting the tax was a Samaritan, and then I'm getting the story wrong, but there was some corruption somewhere where some people they held back the taxes and they didn't pay it to. They collected the taxes, but they kept it for themselves. They didn't give it to Alexander the Great, and they said, "Look, they're trying to rebuild their temple, and they are rebelling against you." And that was why, when Alexander the Great set his eyes upon Jerusalem, wanted to destroy the temple, wanted to destroy the Jewish people. Something in my mind doesn't make sense because Alexander the Great met Shimon HaTzadik, and he was already the second temple had already been built. So there's something wrong with what I'm saying. I'm not sure exactly which part of it. Exactly. Anyways, yeah, the second temple. So this was the Greeks were in the second temple, and
No, the Roman.
the Greeks didn't destroy the temple.
Oh, right.
The Greeks ravaged and pillaged, but the temple wasn't destroyed. So Hanukkah wasn't the destruction of the temple. They had just ruined the temple. And then the Jewish people came and they rededicated the temple. They fixed it up and they made it nice. And that was when they rededicated it. And that was the holiday of Hanukkah. Not just the 25th, but the whole month. Someone trying to get in? I'm mixing up my names today. Okay, note the wording of the Medrash. The Medrash said, now, Kislev, the month in which the work of the Mishkan was completed, lost out, or felt ashamed, per an alternative version. Since the construction of the Mishkan was completed on the 25th of Kislev, the loss would seem to apply only to that single day. It would not concern the days before it, such as the 24th, when the work was not yet complete, nor the days after, since the work was already done. Why then does the Medrash say that Kislev lost out, rather than the 25th of Kislev lost out? This teaches that Hanukkah reflects the theme of the entire month of Kislev. Our sages often express a complete concept in a single word. Here, the wording Kislev lost out indicates that the entire month lost out. Therefore, God repaid Kislev with the dedication of the Chashmonaim, meaning that the defining quality of the month of Kislev, that which distinguishes it from all other months, is expressed through the festival of Hanukkah.
What is the Hasmonean?
The Hasmoneans, the family of the rebels, the ones who's the Maccabees.
Achashverosh and his son.
Matisyahu.
Yeah.
Achashverosh was back to Purim.
Oh, back for
Right.
it.
Matisyahu, and yeah, I know you were talking about Achashverosh. We don't really hear much about his sons. I don't even know if he had it. No, he must have. He had Darius was born of a union between Achashverosh and Esther, I believe. Darius the second, maybe.
That was
Anyway.
a whole dynasty.
Correct. There was a hole. And then it's very interesting is Baruch, are you able to mute yourself? There's a lot of background noise there. I'm glad you got in, but if you can mute yourself,
Okay.
that would be great. And then if you have any questions or anything, feel free to unmute yourself. Does that work?
Wait. How do I mute myself? What do I do?
Just on the phone, there should be a
Is
button
this
with,
better? Is this better now?
oh yeah, I don't hear the background noise anymore.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, now I hear it
Okay.
again. Yeah, if you're able to just hit the mute button. Do you see a mute button on like a microphone with an X through it or something like that?
I don't have that. Hold on. Let me try one more thing. Okay. How about now?
We shall see.
Is that better?
A little better for now, yeah. We'll see.
Okay.
Okay. Page number 3. For this reason, when we reach the Shabbat on which the month of Kislev is blessed, we should take time to reflect on the lessons that can be learned from the story and meaning of Hanukkah. So that was this past Shabbat where we blessed the new month. The new month is going to begin this Thursday night, and Friday is going to be the first of the new month, the month of Kislev. So now it is an appropriate time to begin. Baruch, I'm just going to mute you on this end, and then
Okay.
we'll see what to do.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm sorry about that. It's just the background noise is a little distracting. So now, as we are preparing for Hanukkah, so we have to know what the month of Kislev is about, because it's not just the holiday of Hanukkah, it's the entire month. So what is this month teaching us, and how should we be preparing for this month of Kislev? Source number 2, Susie, did you get the email today?
No,
Didn't come through.
No.
I'm sorry. Okay,
get it.
Zalman, would you like to read for us source number 2?
There is a lesson here for us. We must always emulate God's behavior, as it is stated, just as He is merciful, so shall you be merciful, etc. The Midrash tells us that when Kislev lost out, God promised He would repay it, meaning that God is sensitive to a month, and in order not to offend it, without to repay it. He teaches us how careful we need to be with the dignity of others, even when they do not demand it. Like Kislev, or when there's room to believe they won't be offended or don't care. God cared even about the dignity of a concept of months. Because the Torah tells us the story, it means that we must learn a lesson from it for how we treat others, acting with love for our fellow Jews, and certainly not hurting them. And if we expect help or respect from us, we must try and fill that need as soon as possible.
Beautiful. Page number 4. Dedicating a house. Hanukkah contains many concepts and many lessons, but first and foremost, we should focus on the central theme of Hanukkah, which is, quite simply, the concept of dedication, which is the translation of the word Hanukkah. Not dedication as in applying yourself to something, but dedication as in the dedication of something new. To dedicate something applies only to something new, not to something that has already existed for some time. You can't dedicate this half-empty water bottle. You can't dedicate the time that has already passed. And you can't make a dedication of. You can't do a ribbon cutting of something that's been operating for many years. I mean, of course you could, if somebody wants to sponsor it now, but that's symbolic. For example, the dedication of the Mishkan on the 1st of Nisan, which marked a new stage, the full-fledged establishment of the Mishkan. During the 7 days of preparation that preceded it, Moses would set up the Mishkan and then take it down each day. But on that day, the first day of Nisan, he set it up and did not take it down. The same applies to the dedication of the temple. both the first and second temples, each dedication marked the beginning of something new, the beginning of the temple itself. Even though we had temples before, but this is a new building. Likewise, with regard to the dedication by the Maccabees, I'm just going to call them the Maccabees, that we all know. After they purified the temple from its defilement, they rededicated the altar in a new way, leading to praise and thanks to your great name. So they redid the temple. The altar had actually been used to offer swine and disgusting things, and so they actually, if I'm not mistaken, they took apart some of those stones and put new ones and replastered it. So it was a dedication of a new altar in a way. The same applies to the dedication of a private home in our own time. When a person moves into a new home, it is customary to hold a Chanukah Habayis, a dedication ceremony. This is an ancient custom already mentioned by the earlier authorities, page 5, and even more so by the more recent authorities, as cited by the Chassam Sofer. The Alter Rebbe himself composed a discourse beginning with the verse, a psalm, a song of dedication of the house of David, and it is related in the Avodas Halevi by Rabbi Aaron of Strashelia, who was a disciple of the Alter Rebbe, that the Alter Rebbe delivered that discourse at a Chanukah Sabayis, at a dedication of a new house for someone who just had a new house. Now here is an interesting question. The Chassam Sofer writes this question, and this is one of my favorite things to do when I used to have time. In when I was in yeshiva, when I was a teenager, there's books called Shailas Uchuvas, which is questions and answers, or rabbinic responsa literature. And you can find very interesting, but these are all practical questions that people were asking the rabbis, and the questions and answers are written down. There are many volumes from many different rabbis across the ages. And you can find some fascinating questions and very interesting. I think you would love this. So, for example, I once read a question. I thought it was a great question. This guy was a shochet, a ritual slaughterer. And he's writing a letter to the rabbi that there's a certain kibbutz in Israel that they asked him to come and slaughter an ox for them. And his question is like this. He says, these people are very not religious. The fact that they're even calling me is a big deal. I know that there is enactment by the sages that we must check the lungs of a cow after we slaughter it. So if I will slaughter the cow and not check the lungs, I will be in violation of that rabbinic enactment. However, on the other hand, I know that if I check the animal and the lungs are not kosher, they will eat it anyway. If I don't check the lungs, then there's no one who's putting a non-kosher stamp on this animal, and we could just say, well, we don't know, maybe the lungs are good, maybe the lungs are bad, and they're not eating something that is for sure not kosher. So when I go there, first of all, should I accept this offer, and should I slaughter the cow for them, and should I check the lungs or not? Interesting question.
Not really.
No?
Oh, pretty simple.
What's your answer?
Goes, checks, does what he needs to do to make sure it's kosher. And if it's, then he tells the kibbutz people, yes, it's kosher, no, it's not. And what happens after that is up to the kibbutz people. He does his job and let consequences fall as they may be.
Okay. I hear that. I definitely hear that. And maybe one day we'll have a longer discussion and see perhaps there's another way to look at it. But I think it's beyond the scope of this class. Let's read this. Let's read this as source number 3. Chaim, would you like to read for us this question that was posed to Rabbi Yoel Sirkis? Sorry.
Shalom,
Yes.
Shalom, my friend, the esteemed Rabbi Yoel. Regarding what is written in the Be'er HaViv, that there's danger in building stone structures and homes in a place where there never was one before. And the folk advice is to bring a rooster and hen to the home and slaughter them. You question whether this is an ancient idolatrous practice. In my view, those who
Okay.
follow Rabbi Yehuda,
I'm going to just pause you for a second. So this questioner is quoting from an old the will of Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid, which warns about that you shouldn't build a structure of stones, and he also says you shouldn't build a house on land where nothing has ever been built there before. And he says that there is a concern that doing so could cause the death of someone in the family. And so he continues that there's a common saying among the public that what people say the way to avert the calamity is to bring in some chickens into the house and keep them there for some time so that they become part of the family, and then you slaughter them. So then someone from the family has died. And he wants to know, is this something that is acceptable in Jewish religion, or is this an idolatrous practice and must be stayed away from? So please continue.
are like a sacrificial lamb, but
Right.
it says to the. In my view, those who follow Rabbi Yehuda Chassid's opinion believe that the chickens are dying in exchange for the residents of the home, similar to the practice of kaparot. However, it is best not to be concerned with these fears, as they are not recorded in the Talmud and later authorities. And Rabbi Yehuda Chassid's will may not be an accurate record.
Okay, so here's what he says. He says it's not a problem, but also don't be worried about this. This is just a superstition. Don't be worried about building a house of stone. Don't be worried about building a new house in a place where there never was a house, because it's not mentioned in earlier sources, and also this will of Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid is not necessarily 100% accurate. And there he brings his own idea. He says, if you're worried, this is what you should do.
It would be best practice to dedicate the home with Torah and prayer. For Torah is our life and the length of our days. May it be in peace.
Okay. So he says, make a big party, learn a lot of Torah, pray in the house, and that's the best way to make sure that everyone's going to be happy and healthy. Every home is a holy temple. At first glance, sorry?
Chicken over their head.
That's the kaparot that he was just referencing here. That before Yom Kippur, we take a chicken and we swing it over our heads.
Yeah.
And then we say a special prayer.
Yeah,
We say,
YouTube video. For the YouTube video is watching at these
you can imagine those $5,000 hats if the chicken poops on one of them. That's going to be an expensive dry cleaning bill.
Really just that much?
Some of so they're very expensive, and there were actually recently a strong movements in some of the sects to move to polyester ones, because these young married couple spent $4,000 a fur hat made out of foxtails or other kind of animals, or a beaver hat. Like, these things, they're not cheap.
And they're out public.
Right. And they're not making a lot of money. How are they supposed to afford? So a lot of there's a strong movement to say, this is ridiculous. Let's make sure we have money for food. So move to polyester. And do you want to know the history behind these hats?
Yeah. They are unique.
The history is that in a certain parts of Poland, I guess it would have been, the authorities at the time, in order to degrade the Jews, said that the Jews have to walk around with a tail on their head. And this is a story the way I heard it. And the Jews said, okay, well, we'll make it into a fashion. And they made these beautiful hats out of these foxtails or whatever. And it also makes a beautiful Yiddish expression, von a Chazerschwanz kann man nicht machen a Streimel. From a pig's tail, you can't make a streimel. That talking about, people who are unworthy of certain positions, that it's not, you can make it into a circle, but if it's not the right thing, it's not gonna go. I just heard a great line the other week that I never heard before. I mean, if I already said it, you'll let me know. That guy has as much common sense as a church has mezuzahs. Okay. Page number 6. Every home is a holy temple. At first glance, it seems puzzling. The verse which the Alter Rebbe began his discourse, a song of dedication of the house of David, is referring to the dedication of the holy temple. What connection does that have to the building of an ordinary synagogue, and even more so to a private home? As we have discussed at length in the past, the purpose and goal of every synagogue, which is the miniature sanctuary, and indeed of every Jewish home, is to be like the holy temple, a place where God's presence dwells. This idea is already expressed regarding the Mishkan in the verse, "They shall make for me a sanctuary, and I will dwell among them." Why does God say, "I will dwell among them," and not within it? So the simple meaning of the verse is that the tabernacle, was in the center of the Jewish camp. So God is resting among them. But the Medrash says that, what does it mean among them? He says, among each and every one of them. In other words, the divine dwelling, the very idea signified by the word Mishkan, must exist within every person. Each person's home should be a place where God's presence rests, just as it did in the Mishkan, in the Holy of Holies, where the Ark and its cover stood. A further point regarding dedication: the inauguration of something new is done with much ceremony and with joy. At the dedication of the tabernacle, many offerings were brought, far more than a regular daily service. There was even a unique practice not found elsewhere, which is the offering of incense by an individual. Something permitted only then as a special one-time directive, as we see in the verses about the extra sacrifices and the extra incense, which was brought by the heads of the tribes, as opposed to usually the incense, which was brought only by a Kohen. Just like that. Next, number 4. It was just a summary. Okay, the Rebbe continues, page number 8, dedication of the first temple. The dedication of the first temple in the days of Solomon. So that was just what we read about or spoke about, was the dedication of the tabernacle. What about the first temple in the times of Solomon? Was also marked by numerous service and offerings, as described at length in the Bible, and it was accompanied by great joy, feasting, and celebration. They over here you can read source number 5. They 22,000 oxen, 120,000 sheep, and as they were walking walking around, they would take a few steps and they would slaughter more animals for God. This was huge celebration. Page number 9, the Rebbe. There was even something unprecedented at the dedication of the first temple. That year, the people did not observe Yom Kippur in the usual way, because during the 7 days before Sukkot, they celebrated each day with joy and feasting. Yom Kippur is 4 days before Sukkot, so that would be part of the 7. So because they had just dedicated the temple, they actually ate and partied on Yom Kippur. A heavenly voice proclaimed, "All of you who are destined for eternal life." In other words, although Yom Kippur is a day of complete rest, entirely transcending the physical world, with no place for eating or drinking, nevertheless, in that year, not only was the prohibition on eating and drinking set aside, but these very acts became part of the temple's dedication. Now, when it comes to the dedication of the second temple, we also have something important in the days of Cyrus. It too was marked with various services and great celebration, as we can read over here on the page number 9 and 10. Okay, now the same thing happened again with the dedication of the temple after the Hashmonai victory. The same is found regarding the dedication of the Maccabees. This dedication led to something new. These lights shall never be extinguished, as Nachmanides explains at the beginning of the section Ba'aloscha. It is well known that when the temple no longer stands, and the sacrifices have ceased because of its destruction, the lamps too are no longer kindled. but the verse alludes to the lights of the Hashmonaim dedication, the lights of the Hanukkah menorah, which remain in practice even after the destruction throughout our exile. This was something that had never occurred before, not in the time of the tabernacle, nor in the first or the second temples. When those were destroyed, their lights were extinguished as well. Only the lights kindled in remembrance of the miracle of Hanukkah continue forever. Zalman, would you like to read source number 7 from Josephus? Page 11, top of page 11.
Judah, son of Matthias, the high priest, and all the faithful assembly who were with him came through. They tore down all the altars that the Gentiles built, purified the house from the idols of the Gentiles, built a new altar, poured offerings on it, and arranged the wood. They could not find holy fire, so they cried out to God and called upon it. Fire came forth from the stones of the altar. They raised the wood on it and offered the sacrifice. Fire remained on the altar until the third division of the priests completed their service. They celebrated the dedication of the altar on the 25th of Shaban, placed the showbread on the table of God, with the lamps of the menorah.
This
Praised
is
God
a mistake in the translation. In the Hebrew, it says Kislev. So I don't know where that cheshvan comes from. That's a mistake.
and praised God with the recitation of law for 8 days.
Thank you. So we see that whenever there was a rededication, there was something very special, very pompous and joyous celebration, and of course, all for the name of God. Dedication of a personal home. The same pattern can be seen in the dedication of a house in our own time. The celebration is marked by feasting, not just the usual amount when guests are welcome, but with greater joy and abundance than usual. Everyday dedication, page 12. All of this is related in the Torah, not merely to inform us about what has happened in the past, but of course as a lesson to teach us how we live today. We should know that when the month of Kislev arrives, the central theme of which is Hanukkah, it is a time to dedicate ourselves anew, to rebuild and renew every aspect of our divine service in the study of Torah and the observance of mitzvot. The purpose of all this is to fulfill the divine desire that God desired to have a dwelling place in the lower world, meaning that the world itself should become a home for God. This is the true Chanukah Sabayis, to bring about renewal in all areas of divine service with fresh vitality, as if beginning something entirely new. This is also the deeper meaning of the concept that every day the words of the Torah should be considered new in your eyes. Just as the giving of the Torah was accompanied by awe and reverence, so too we must approach Torah and mitzvahs today in that same spirit. Since this principle is stated in the Torah of truth, it must be expressed genuinely, not as act, but with sincerity. Our study of Torah and observance of the mitzvahs each day should feel completely new, as though we had never before heard of the giving of the Torah, and never studied or observed it before. How can we reach such a state? We are granted special power for this in the month of Kislev, whose primary theme is Hanukkah. The message and mission of this month are to bring renewal into our spiritual life, and therefore during this time it becomes much easier to experience Torah and mitzvahs on a new level. And here are some home dedication customs. Jewish books. Our custom is the first thing to bring into the home is a siddur, a chumash, which is the Torah, Tehillim, Psalms, and a Tanya, in addition to the universal custom of bringing in bread and salt first thing into the house. Our custom is to immediately fix the mezuzahs with a blessing and remove one for checking on the 30th day, or replace it with a nicer one and then refix it with a blessing to include the rest of the mezuzahs. Did you end up getting a mezuzah?
And yeah, been looking for a good days of store. There was one that I always went to a festival market. It was really big. Christmas market before.
The festival flea market doesn't exist anymore?
No,
Since when?
past summer.
I remember hearing that they were maybe going to be bought out by Amazon for a warehouse. Is that what's going on?
I don't know who bought it or why it closed, but yeah, no, it's gone.
You mean the one on sample?
Yeah.
Wow.
Rabbi,
Yes.
What exactly is in the mezuzah? What is it? The Ten Commandments, or what's the scrolls? Scroll in the mezuzah.
There's a scroll which is handwritten by a scribe, if it's a kosher mezuzah, is handwritten by a scribe, and it has the Shema inside it.
Oh, the Shema. Okay, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure after all these years what exactly was in
Yeah.
the mezuzah.
We all know the story of the this guy who gets his house repainted, and he asked the builder if he put all the mezuzahs back. He said, yeah. He sees that the scroll is gone. He says, where'd you put the scroll? He's like, oh, the instructions, they were written in Chinese. I couldn't read them. I threw them out.
That was the joke of the day. I like that one.
Okay.
Very good.
Really good Judaica store.
You saying you want a pretty mezuzah?
Oh, something nice.
Sure. There's you want to go south or north? There's a big one called Aspaklaria in Aventura, North Miami Beach area.
Oh, that's pretty far south. Anything in Broward,
Anything in Broward.
Hollywood?
There must be, but I'm trying to. I feel like the kosher stores have a small selection of Judaica. Is there a place maybe called Cohen's Judaica in West Palm, in Palm Beach County, like up in Boynton?
Rabbi, there's a Judea shop right off University in, I think it's still Tamarack.
Yeah,
I know, I've been there.
It's very small.
Yeah, I've been there with Joni a few times.
Mm-hmm.
They have
Yeah.
mezuzahs there.
Yeah, I also didn't get them. One get in New Menorah.
How about in Hollywood, like Sterling Road, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'm just trying. I don't. I'm not sure if there is a Judaica store. South Florida is so strange to me.
Thanks to everybody.
How is there no, like, there's one Judaica, I feel like everyone moved to South Florida. They were the only person who moved to South Florida. It's not like, I don't know why. In Brooklyn, you have huge stores of Jewish bookstores. Huge Jewish bookstores in Brooklyn. Down here in Florida, nothing. No, I mean,
but everything
whatever,
has
the
changed.
basics you can find. But anything other than the basic books, very hard to find down here.
You know, South Florida is not very big on books in general.
Fair enough.
I mean,
At the festival, they used to have a place there
Yeah.
where they had all
The
Jewish.
festival
I
had a
bought
really
my
nice one.
I bought my
what was it
parents.
called?
I don't remember what it was called.
I wonder.
Yeah,
where
it was-
they must
it's
have moved
really-
somewhere, no? Or you think they closed down?
Maybe.
Yeah, the festival has closed, but it was a really nice
Yeah.
shop there. Yeah. Oh, well. Rabbi, I'm going to have to say goodbye. This has been lovely. Goodbye, gentlemen. Have a good week. And,
Thank you. Susie, when are you heading back down here?
I'll be there probably the second week of December, and I'll get in touch with
Okay.
you, okay?
Sounds good. We'll see you then.
Hey, be well, everybody. Bye-bye.
Yes. Take care.
Yeah, the one at the festival was really nice. They had really not a big selection of Noras. Very, very expensive.
Silver ones, I'm guessing.
And artistic and all that.
Wow.
Yeah.
But also,
The owner of the festival won a lottery one week.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they won a flower lottery, yeah.
that's cool.
the first grand prize?
Yeah, he won a lot.
How much was it?
I don't remember. Just remember reading the story about it.
That's funny. And now we know why it closed.
Not the multi-state bank, no, the Florida.
Okay. Fair enough. Source number 10. Every Jewish home should have a charity box that reminds us of the mitzvah and encourages regular giving. Source number 11. Hasidic gathering. I received your letter about moving into a new home. It would be proper to host a Hasidic gathering in your home where words of Torah and words of arousing the fear and love of God, awe is a better word, are spoken. This is a fitting dedication for a Jewish home. In summary, the Mishkan was completed on the 25th of Kislev, but it was only its dedication was postponed until Nisan. In return, Kislev received the dedication and purification of the temple in the days of the Maccabees. From this, we see the primary theme of Kislev is the concept of dedication. Dedication means a new beginning. This was the case with the dedication of the Mishkan, as well as the dedication and purification of the temples by the Hashmoneans, the Maccabees. This motive is also present in the dedication of a new home, whose purpose is to turn it into a mini temple and establish God's presence there. When something new is dedicated, it is done with special joy. This was true in all the dedication events mentioned. The message for us: the month of Kislev is a time of special favor, a time to act with enthusiasm and special desire in all matters of service to God. Takeaway: the days of Kislev, and especially the days of Hanukkah, are days of spiritual blessing and a special time to renew our service to God. We have a special power from above to put on tefillin with renewed enthusiasm and to help others joyfully. We should make the most of this opportunity. Baruch, let me see if I can figure out how to unmute him from here. I'm not sure how that works. Okay. Baruch, can you hear us now?
Yes. Mhm.
Driving. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Baruch.
Are you
care.
giving, is the rubber going to be on?
We're gonna do the video now, yeah, but I don't know how much it's gonna be useful for you to listen to that.
My
more of a
Yiddish
video
is not
kind of
that
thing.
bad. My Yiddish is not that bad.
Okay. Well, if that's the case, let's see what happens here. I hope my phone has the bandwidth to figure this out. Thank you for joining last night. It was really beautiful. If you have any feedback on how we can make the next one even nicer, let me know.
A little earlier in the day.
A little earlier.
8:30.
Yeah. Thank you. That's it. Is it cast? Yeah. Oh. Okay, Baruch, I think that it's not, because I'm on Zoom, it's not sending the voice to the screen. Okay. So I think that I'm gonna have to hang up this. I apologize about that, Baruch.